In this video I will show you how to search for a patient record. You can click search on the toolbar on the home screen, or you can press F10 on the keyboard, and this will bring up the quick patient search. Although it says name search, you can also search in this field by NHS number or date of birth. You would always type the first name or the initial first, and then you can click search to the right. This brings up all the results that match what you've typed. If you would like to know any other people that live at the same address as this patient, you can click this address and it will show you any other users. If you want to go back to look in the search results for C-links, click search again and it will just bring up the search results. You can also look at the history. That will show you the recent history of any searches you've made. We've also got the advanced option, and in here we can ask it to include deducted patients, or we can ask it to include test patients, and we also get the option to search by date of birth. Another way of searching by date of birth is clicking in the name search and just typing it in and clicking search, and you can see it will type the date of birth in there for you. Once you've done a date of birth search, it's important, if you're doing a name search next, to remember to untick this box, otherwise it will only look for people with the same date of birth as what we've already searched on. If we want to now open the record, I can either just double click on it or select her and click select. We've got some other options here where we can go straight to the appointment screen, straight to consultations, or go to a favourite screen. Obviously in this case I will click select and it will open the patient record. The other way we've got of searching for a patient is the patient locator. So to access this, you can go to patient and patient locator. You may have a shortcut to it, but if you haven't, that's where it is. And in here you can search on different details, so we can also search on name, date of birth or NHS number, but it's also easier to search for their address in here. If you can remember the patient's first name and the street they live on, but you can't remember their surname, you can't remember their full name to find them, this is an easy way of doing it. So I type in the information that I do know in here and click search down at the bottom, and you can see it's found my patient just with their first name and their street name or road name. If I then want to find people that live at this address, I've got a button here that goes this address, and we can see there's also a T-test that lives at that address as well. And if we want to open the patient record, we can just double click on her and it opens the patient record. We are now in a patient record. Up at the top right we've got what we call the patient demographic box, and you can see in this box we have the patient's name, date of birth, address and so on. If you hover over the demographic box, you will see you'll get a tooltip showing you of any of the addresses, if they're under the care of another unit. It would also show you any nominated pharmacies in this box. Underneath we've got patient status alerts, and you can see there's a row of icons, and these are prompted by information that is recorded in the patient's record. If you're not sure what any of them mean, you hover over it and it will give you a tooltip explaining what that alert is. Over on the left side of the screen we have the clinical tree, and each node in here is a different part of the patient's record. So it starts on patient home, and over on the right we've got things that are outstanding for this patient. So you can see we've got different sections and it's showing you what's outstanding for the patient. We also have these icons down the right, and you can access these alerts or these sections of the patient home screen from any node of the clinical tree. So if I go to quick glance, you can see if I want to see which reminders we have, I can click on that and it shows me the reminders. Quick glance is like a summary of the patient's record, so you can see at the top we've got appointments at this location, we've got the most recent BP, BMI, height, weight, we've got any drug sensitivities and allergies, female information, outstanding recalls, and at the bottom we've got the last 3 consultations. So this is a good summary screen. The next sections we have are major active problems, minor active problems and inactive problems. So if somebody has a problem that's ongoing or a condition that's ongoing, it should be put on the system as a problem, and ideally every time the patient comes to the practice or speaks to somebody in the practice regarding that problem, the consultation or the medication should be linked. You click on the relevant problem and the contents of that problem are displayed on the right hand side. We also have this summary and family history screen, and in here the better view is the new summary and problem view, and in here you can see all of your problems and summary items together. If you want to separate the problems out from the summary items, you can do this over here. So we can do active major and active minor, and you can see it's put those in their own little headers. We also have a legend over on the right explaining what the icons on the left side mean. The next section is the new journal. So the journals, they hold all the information that is in the patient's record. Most people will probably be using the tabbed journal now, and the reason for this is it has these tabs along the top that help you filter the information that you're looking for. If the patient has shared their record with other organisations, in the Everything tab you will see everything recorded by all of those different organisations. If you just want to see the information recorded at your organisation, you can click on Local Data. GP data will show you anything recorded at your organisation and in any other previous GP practices. We have Community, Urgent Care, and then we've obviously got the Everything tab as well. If you want to search for a particular thing in the journal, we've got this little search box here. You can type in the word that you're looking for and press enter, and it will filter out all of the results that don't contain that word. If you want to go back to looking at everything, you just click on the little X to the right and that clears it. The next node that we're going to look at is the medication node, and this will give you a list of all the medication that the patient has had. By default it is usually on the all medication view. At the top here we've got this view box and with a drop down, and you can change it to summary, and sometimes it's better to look at it in that view. You get a list alphabetically, how many times they've had it and when they last had it. The next section is repeat templates. In here you get a list of the patient's current repeats. We've also got prescription history, so this is a list of prescriptions that have been issued. We have referrals, so we've got referrals in and out. In a GP practice it's more commonly referrals out. We then have communications and letters, so this may be things like clinic letters or discharge letters, and again we've got all incoming or outgoing, so you can filter it by each of those. If you want to view the document, you right click and you get the option again to view content. And it opens it up in a new window and we can see that document. To come out of it you can just click on the X and it will take you back to the patient record. We also have record attachments, so usually in here you will have things like med3s, you might also have ECGs or photos, and again to view them you can right click and go to view in windows and it will open it in a new window. Med3 statements are also listed here. We've got SMS messages, so that will show you a list of any SMS messages that have been sent to this particular patient. Recalls, so if the patient is due a review and you want to send them a reminder, you would put a recall on the system and somebody would be able to run a report each month to find out people that are due that particular review and send them the appropriate reminder. Cervical screening for female patients. Vaccinations gives a list of any vaccinations that have been given along with any consents and refusals. We've got a section for sensitivities and allergies, so these are both read-coded allergies or drug allergies. Reminders, these are put on the system to remind the person who opens the record of a patient, so they would be able to check their current telephone number or their address, or if the patient always needs a double appointment. Pathology and Radiology, with this being a test system we don't have much in here, but you would get a list of all of your pathology results, and whichever one you click you would get the filing comments over at the top right and you would get the actual results down at the bottom right. They're the main parts that I wanted to show you of the clinical tree. We also have the administrative tree at the top here. So in here you can see we've got patient details, so it shows you any of the patient details in there, and if you need to change any of those details you've got the relevant button next to each field. We have the GP registration details, so in here you can see when the patient was registered, who by, and so on, and if we have the notes. Records sharing, it shows you if this record is shared with any other your organisations, so you can see all of that information there. We've got care history, address history, and then we've got this section here, appointments, visits and tasks. So if you want to have a look at any previous appointments you can do that. By default it just shows you your organisation and it only shows you within the last month. If you want to look further back you can untick that box and it will show you going further back. If there are other organisations you can choose that option there. Same with visits and with tasks. We can see in there any tasks that have been done for that patient. And then one of the main things is the online services. So if your patient wants to view their record, book appointments or request medication online, you can give them access to System Online. This patient has already got access. If you want to add or remove services or reset the password or change their username, you can do that there.